Morning, everybody, and welcome to a car that hopefully will settle an argument that is happening between myself and Road and Track's Sam Smith. Hi, Sam. The argument we're having is taking place on Instagram and is about stock power Miatas. I think they should have more horsepower. He thinks they shouldn't. So, what perfect timing that Christian will bring out this 2000 NB Miata. Christian, thank you very much for driving up. I appreciate it. So, how long have you had this car?
3 months now.
3 months?
Not very long.
He checked his watch earlier when I asked. He was like, how long has it been? Why did you buy it? And it's bone stock, right? What trim level is this?
This is it's a 2000 Miata, but the Special Edition. I believe there were 2,000 or 3,000 made. So it has a 6-speed transmission, wood interior, upgraded stereo, and it does have an LSD.
It came with the Torsen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the other. They had. I was reading about these. They had so many weird. Like they had 3 main trim levels, but then you could get the handling package added to the base level, which came with the diff and the sport springs, and then like the sport version had all that stuff, but something else. And like there was a lot of weird Legos mixing and matching kind of happening. Well, I'm pretty stoked. I had an NA Miata. Mm-hmm. This is obviously the second generation, and it looks nicer already, but there's a lot of similarities. So let's take it for a spin, and we're going to talk about how these feel and their effect on tall people. Familiar engine sound, familiar ergonomics. These cars are incredibly comfortable. The steering feels so good. Even in the parking lot, the steering in this feels better than the last 2 cars I just drove, both of which were dedicated track machines. Their handling was amazing, but both of them had steering feel, which I mentioned in the video. I'm not talking behind their back. You got a check engine light on. Do you know that?
That is for the secondary. So the 2000s, the California spec, they have 2 catalytic converters. It is for inefficient warm-up.
Gotcha.
So nothing.
All right.
Scary.
I just want to check before we start doing. Get 10 minutes in and the car catches on fire.
Yeah.
All right, so right off the bat, steering feel is very good. I do feel like I'm sitting higher in this car than I was in my NA Miata for some reason.
Yeah, this car does feel a little more floaty. Definitely feel the roll.
Yeah, it's my car. It had like Flying Miata shocks and sway bars on it, so I can't compare them really back to back and fairly. I'll acknowledge that they have different setups, but when we got in this car, you said you can't really drive these cars if you're over 6 feet tall. And what was funny is that my buddy Thaddeus, he could drive and fit in my car, and he was 6'5", wow. 6'4", 6'5". But when he sat in the passenger seat, it looked like I had tried to stuff like an entire living elephant into a house. He had his knees up above the dashboard because your feet don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Here they get to go to the pedals. All right, so let's talk about why you bought this car, and maybe it will mirror why I love these cars.
So I'm a huge Japanese car fan. I've owned 2 240s, an S13 and an S14, and an STI. And then I sold the 98 240 that I had, and I made a pretty good amount of money off of it. But the reason I sold it was because my old neighbor, the previous owner was her husband, and unfortunately her husband passed away. So the car was sitting in a garage for about a year, and then one day she texted my mom that she was ready to sell it. So I sold my 98 240, and the next day I bought this car. I bought it because it was very clean. It's 60,000
really
miles.
Clean. I mean, with the exception of some small holes here in the dash.
Yeah.
And there's a few blemishes you said from cats. It looks fairly new in here. Everything, the plastics are really clean. Your wood is in immaculate condition, I would call it. Looks like a level 8 car, I would say, maybe 9 in some places.
Yeah. The bottom, no rust at all. It's been in California its entire life. The wife was actually explaining to me that the previous owner, her husband, he had a Mercedes and I think a Rolls Royce, and this is the car that he put in the garage.
Wow.
And to me, that speaks volumes about how much people enjoy their Miatas.
Well, that's someone you want to buy a car from. That's the car you want to buy. Have you gone through like bushings and shocks and all that stuff? You've only had 3 months.
I've had it 3 months. I've done accessory belts, the timing belts, valve cover gasket, all the basic water pump and timing kit stuff that you do.
Okay, because it's interesting, and over some of these bumps, I mean, the car definitely leans more than a new Miata or mine did, and occasionally I get more cowl shake than I remember.
Yeah.
Although it's possible that my car was like, it had like light 15-inch wheels on it. It had Advan tires. It had all these go fast parts, and then everything around it was just a piece of crap. So I probably had more rattles going on than I remember. But I noticed a little bit of bump steer in one corner, and as it leans over, and then if it's encountering undulations in the road, it kind of like moves around a little bit. So it does feel. It feels very different from like a brand new car. I guess it just speaks to where they've gone these today. I'm gonna turn around right here. What are your plans with this? Do you want to keep it, stock and working?
This is my daily driver, so I really don't have big plans for it. The cars that I modify are my other 240, which I've started tracking, and my STI, which I hope to bring in the track soon.
If you keep it stock, it'll run forever. I mean, these things run forever anyway. But they're pretty
wheels.
Comfortable.
I do. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I do want to do wheels, maybe strut and spring, and sway bars. We'll see.
So stock, except for those things.
Yeah, I'm not a big horsepower guy. Fastest car.
Well, very nice segue, because like the topic that's been going back and forth with Sam and I is horsepower. The new car, he thinks has a perfect amount of horsepower. He thinks it's fine the way it is, and I think it needs at least 200. And he fires back, oh well, then you're gonna want 3, then you're gonna want 4. I'm like, no. I don't think we should chase more and more power in everything. You'll never catch that dragon once you start chasing it. But I think these cars, the chassis are so composed, and the new ones even more so with just, I don't know, everything's becoming more, like subframes are becoming more rigid, everything gets stiffer every generation, that the only thing that's lacking in the Miata experience is the fun you get of accelerating.
I know what you mean.
It's like the ergonomics are great, the steering feels really good, the chassis balance is really good, like the shifter feel is phenomenal, and the engine lasts forever. But it's like you went to a really great restaurant and they forgot to bring you a fork. Doesn't change the flavor of the food. The ambiance is still great, and you got by. But the whole time, I'm like, when I come out of a corner and hit the gas, I'm waiting for it to come on cam, and even then, I'm basically waiting to build enough speed where the corner is exciting, like now, or to the next braking zone. There's this straightaway section. There's the excitement lacking there, and I guess I just want everything. I just want everything to be as fun as possible, and they're so close to being the funnest car you can buy. I guess there's such good driving cars without power. It's like, imagine what it would be like with power.
Yeah.
But you have other projects that are going to scratch that itch, right?
I think 200 is a very good number, especially for me, again, who's just learning to get into track driving, group driving. 200 is plenty, which is right around where my 240 is. My STI is a little above that. So, like in the canyons, I do, especially when I get out of those cars, I do feel this car is a little sluggish, but it's not the end of the world to me. I still have a ton of fun driving it, and I wouldn't really.
They're so. If you're out there watching and you've never driven a Mazda Miata, regardless of generation, don't let people, one's better, one's worse, whatever. Just drive one. You can do it at night so no one sees you if you believe in whatever stigma you think is out there. But, they are one of the best driving experiences I've ever had. And it's everything. It's your feet, the way the pedal, the response and feedback in the pedals feels right. The shifter feels right. It's short. It's really mechanical. The steering feel is good. Visibility is good. And then when you go around a corner, the back steps out really gently. It's the dynamics of these cars is what you want for every car, just smaller.
Yeah.
like they drift, but on a longer slide, they want to loop out because the wheelbase is so short, unless you stretch it and do all kinds of crazy things. But man, they're just so fun.
My favorite thing about this car is driving in Malibu with the top down at night. Just everything.
That is a true British roadster experience, isn't it? I mean, that's where these came from. They were inspired by British roadsters. We're going to let them get a little ahead. You know, designed in part with a little bit of West Coast design team, a Tokyo design team, put them together. You know, the looks are, I guess, a mainstay in everybody's brain now for like what a great roadster can be. But really, like the reliability of these is ridiculous. When I bought mine for 200,000 miles on it, and I was talking to this woman who's a pro autocrosser, and she's like, "How many miles?" "Oh, it's just getting warmed up." Like they will, the 1.8 liter. For those that don't know, this has the 1.8. The NA had a 1.6 and then a 1.8. You know, it's as reliable as a rock.
Yeah. On my own YouTube channel, I have a bunch of Miatas that I show a lot. At the track day that I went to at Grande, there was one NB that had 234,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Beating on it all day and no problems at all.
Yeah, change the oil if you feel like it. What's your YouTube channel? Plug it while you're here.
It's just my name, Christian Meyer. It's a lot of Nissan, Subaru, and Miata content. A lot of getting into tracks, a lot of installs, DIY stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Check out his channel. I am busy right now relishing in being flat through a whole corner, which is something we talk about on the show now and then. A little bit of like steering wheel chatter there as we go around the corner. A little bit, tires giving away a little bit.
Yeah.
If you have a car with 300 plus horsepower, it's not often you get to stay full throttle for an extended period of time. So there is an enjoyment in driving a Miata, like, that's very special, where you get to stay flat, like right now, flat, come around the corner, steps out just like half an inch. And that's something you don't get to experience in a car with more horsepower.
It's an interesting feeling, especially definitely from the driver's seat, just not letting go. You just gotta commit, and it'll do it.
And it will, it'll hang around the corner. And so, I guess, I see Sam's point. They don't need to have more power because you get to have that feeling of, you know, full throttle. It feels like you're doing something wrong. Like, oh, I'm not supposed to floor the gas in this car. You know, in a car, I'm not supposed to go 65 and maintain that speed. I just wish that full throttle did a little bit more. This is a very nice example of an MB Miata. Super clean, you know, bone stock. I think when you do those little suspension mods, it'll probably just make for a more rewarding driving experience without sacrificing any of the comfort that this car has. Because, I don't know, with the exception of a little more road noise than other cars, I think these are pretty damn comfortable for long periods of time. Like ergonomically, the seats fit you really well. You know, the wheels placed correctly. One thing I make a big point of in road trip cars is where the armrests. And you want your elbows to be able to sit with your hand on the wheel without holding your shoulders up, because after 6 hours in a car, which I've done, like you get all these all crack and crinkle. So they're set up so well. I think you're gonna have a very good time with this thing. Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing it out. I appreciate it. You know, stock cars are fun when they're good stock cars. So if you haven't driven a Miata, even if you don't need to buy one, just drive it so that you have that in your lexicon, in your experience basket, so you can grade other cars and how they feel and perform. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Check out the live broadcast when we do that. We put the show up live, then we pull it down and upload it a couple weeks later. And when we do the live discussions, check out Super Chat. You can jump in and talk to us. We'll answer all your questions. And we got new shirts. Should be out now, or that already ended, depending on when this goes up. I don't know. Buy stuff, listen to stuff. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And we'll see you later.